Do you want to make $100,000 playing poker? It all starts with mastering the basics, and today, we're cutting through the noise. Forget complicated charts and endless theories. If you can build a solid range, keep things simple, play in position, big bets, and stop playing like they play, you already have the foundation to crush the game. We're breaking down the 5 skills that separate the dreamers, you playing smarter, and for a whole lot more money than you think. Skill 1. Build a solid range. Start with what they don't have. If you want to be a winning player, your first job is simple. Build a solid range. And start by thinking about what your opponents don't have. Here's what that means. When an opponent checks twice on a dry board, what does that tell you? It tells you they probably don't have a monster hand. Strong hands like sets or top 2 pair usually bet to protect themselves or even build a pot, and when they don't, they're capping their range. A capped range means that they've signaled, intentionally or not, that they're unlikely to have the nuts, and that's when you go to work. When you recognize that an opponent has capped themselves, you can pressure them at high frequency. And here's the important part. If you want them to fold, you have to bluff big. Small bets just don't scare live cash players. Big, polarizing bets force them to make tough decisions with weak or medium strength hands, and most players hate that. On the flip side, if you have the nuts and you want to call, bet smaller. Small bets give weaker hands a reason to hang around. They make players curious, they build pots, and they get you paid. It's simple. Big bets make people fold. Small bets invite them to call. Learning how to see what your opponents don't have, and using smart bet sizing to adjust and attack, or even extract value. Master this, and you're not just playing your cards, you're playing their range. And that's how real money is made. Skill 2. Keep things simple. Keep it simple. You're not Phil Ivey, and here's the best part, you don't have to be. You're trying to beat the $1 $2 or $1 $3 no-limit hold'em games. You're trying to win consistently, play for long hours, and stack up real meaningful results. The way forward. Find who's worse than you, identify why they're worse, and create a plan to attack their weaknesses. Some players limp too much pre-flop. Some players call every bet with weak top pairs. Some players are scared money and fold to every raise. Some players bluff too much in bad spots. You don't need to outplay everyone every hand. You need to put down the phone and honestly spend hours spotting players' mistakes. Then, you form a plan to exploit their mistakes, and then you execute that plan. And here's the real truth. It doesn't matter if you win or lose any individual hand. You can honestly review your decisions, not your results. Results lie, good thought processes don't. If you're doing what 95% of players at your table can't. You're thinking like a real winner. You're paying attention to the game happening around you, and you have the conviction to act on it. And that's how you separate yourself from the crowd and start making $100K playing poker. Skill 3. Play in position. This skill is almost a cliche at this point. It's in every poker book, every training video, every conversation with a winning player. But here's the thing. It's a cliche because it's absolutely unshakably true. Playing in position is the single biggest advantage you can give yourself at the poker table. When you're in position, meaning you act after your opponent on every street, you get to see what they do before you make your decision. You have more information. And in poker, information is power. You get to see if they check nervously or instantaneously. You get to see if they fire a small, scared-looking bet. You get to if they're strong. You can pot control and lose the minimum. If you sense hesitation, you can float and steal pots that don't really belong to you. But playing in position isn't just about winning easy pots. It's about allowing yourself to make smaller, more manageable mistakes. And when you're in position, even if you misread a hand or make a small error, you still have the advantage of acting last. You're less likely to lose your entire stack, you're more likely to bluff successfully, and you're more likely to extract thin value with a medium. And yes, that sometimes means bluffing huge. It sometimes means making mistakes. But if you're constantly finding ways to put yourself last to act, you're stacking the odds in your favor, and your results are gonna show it. The player who acts last usually laughs last. Skill 4. Hammer big hands with big bets. When people think about poker greatness, they picture the highlight reels, the insane hero calls, the brilliant multi-street bluffs, the check raises with nothing but air. But let's get real. That's not what makes someone $100,000 a year at poker. There are spots where it's correct to check your opponent and let them bluff. There are times where you trap with your monsters. But those moments are the exception, not the rule. If you want to win serious, consistent money, you have to stop trying to be fancy and start being aggressive when you're strong. Full houses, you push chips across the line. You hammer them. You hammer them hard. You literally think of how much money you want and add $500. Because every bet you make when you're strong builds the pot. And building the pot is how you get paid. The bigger the pot gets while you're way ahead, the more cash in on your edge. Think about it. You didn't sit down for 8 hours just to make one tiny bet and hope they bluff into you. You sat down to get value, to maximize your strong hands, to cash in on your skill edge when it matters most. Most players don't want to fold top pair. Some outright refuse. We're here to take advantage of that and make them pay through their nose. Here's a simple rule. If your hand is strong enough to bet, it's strong enough to bet big on the turn and river. Not always pot-sized, not always all in, but bigger than your opponent wants to see. If they are willing to call a small bet, guess what? They're probably willing to call a big one too. And if they weren't, well, you didn't leave much money with a tiny bet. Big hands deserve big pots, and big pots are what make big years. You don't get rich slow playing monsters. You get rich stacking people with them. Skill 5, stop playing like them. Poker is a very social game. You sit around a table for hours with the same group of people, you joke, you talk, you bond, even the players you're trying to beat. And that's where danger creeps in. Because here's the truth about humans. We're social animals. When we spend a lot of time around a group, we copy how they talk. And worst of all, we start playing poker like them. You can't let that happen. You have to make it your personal mission to break away from the crowd, to stop playing like they do, to stop needing their validation, their praise, or their permission to play your best poker. Here's the reality of the games you're in. Most people at $1, $2, or $3 no limit aren't really good. They're average players at best. They limp into pots, they call too wide, they make tiny, scared bets, they check when they should be betting, and they think showing a bluff is cool and part of the game. Chasing their approval, you'll stop 3-betting when you should. You'll stop value betting because you don't want to be rude. You'll start checking back strong hands because you're worried about looking greedy. Stop playing to win, and you start playing to fit in. Winners, or even different. Winners get laughed at when their bluffs get caught, but they also get paid big when they fire again with the nuts. Winners don't explain themselves to losing players. You have to train yourself to break away from the social pull of the table. You have to be okay with being the outcast. You have to be okay with being the guy they talk about when you get up from the table. Because when they're saying, wow, he runs so good. Man, he gets paid every time. Ugh, he's so aggressive, I hate playing against him. That's how you know you're winning. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be antisocial. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Look at Daniel Negreanu, one of the most famous and successful poker players of all time. Daniel, he's one of the friendliest, most social players you're ever gonna meet at the table. He's laughing, he's talking, he's joking with everyone. He's chatting up the amateurs and making people feel comfortable. But here's the difference. Daniel never forgets why he's there. He's not there to make friends. He's not there to fit in. He's not there to get compliments or approval. He's there to win. Behind the jokes and the smiles, he's ruthlessly analyzing. What is your body language telling him? What does your betting pattern reveal? Are you strong or weak? Are you ready to fold if he puts you under pressure? He's social, but he's never soft. He blends in when it's time to blend in. He turns on the charm when it's time to charm. But the second an opportunity opens up, he takes your chips without hesitation. You don't have to sit there silent, stone-faced, and cold. You don't have to be the weird guy nobody wants to talk to. You can laugh. You can smile. You can make the table feel like a fun place to be. But you never lose sight of why you're there. You're there to win. You're there to play better than they do. You're there to make money, not to make friends. If you can master being socially friendly but strategically ruthless, you're gonna be unstoppable. Because while they're busy trying to have a good time, you'll be busy winning their chips with a smile on your face. And here's the real poker truth. If you play like they do, If you play different, if you play better, you'll get different results too. Tips and most epic poker fights. Thanks for watching.